Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
Max Fear has taken over the timeline, folks. People are selling their altcoins at a loss right now, and everyone is running out the door with their hair on fire, except for the legends that are leaning into the correct projects, long-term vision of Bitcoin, and absorbing this fear as everyone seems to be losing their mind. Welcome to Discover Crypto in the Blockchain Basement. I'm your boy, The Druth, and we have so much delicious information to fly into on this beautiful Monday morning. I hope you all are doing absolutely fantastic. I am loving seeing this market with the pullback we've had this morning. I'm getting FOMO. I got brand new Tether. I've been trading like an absolute savage, and I'm excited to lean into the danger. And I hope that you are looking down the right path as well. Welcome to the show. Let me know how you are doing in the chat here. Ooh, Morgan Powell, what is up, my man? Good to see you. Need cash ASAP. We'll call JG Wentworth. 877 cash now. No fear. Relaxing here. That is very, very based of you, Sabas Mohammed. Matthew Revel. Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and there are deals to be had, folks. So we got to dive into it. Make sure that you are following me on X. I have an explosive interview with one of the most influential, cataclysmic names in American history. Coming up, I'm going to be filming it on Thursday. I have been up to some absolute shenanigans, and this is going to be a very, very, very spicy episode. It's only going to go out on my personal X account, so make sure, if you're interested in finding out the truth about what's happened over the last 5 years, follow me at Druth Crypto. Now, let's get into it. Let's get into the carnage. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel here at Discover Crypto on the YouTube. And if you're interested to take part in long-term holding of Bitcoin, support our partners, Arculus and Bitcoin IRA. Bitcoin IRA offering the excellent tax incentives and housing within a IRA environment for your crypto. And without saying, cold custody is king. Arculus cold custody, highly recommend. Use code DC20. We got a link down in the description. Now let's look at the carnage. Let's look at the pain that is out here. Oh my God, our bags are still there. Wow. So we fell down to about $105,500 earlier this morning. Some scary, scary potentials here as this may be forming into a head and shoulders pattern with an ugly, ugly target. Looking downwards at that previous CME gap. We all know that CME gap so well and dear, right? It's at $92,000, give or take a couple $100. This general head and shoulders pattern doesn't get us all the way down there. That would be a heck of a vibe check on the 300-day moving average. But in general, I'm moisturized, unbothered, and in my lane. And I love trading ranges, which is why I've been so damn wonderfully effective at trading this bouncy problematic scenario for everyone else. I know it looks scary. This head and shoulders scary. Imagine if Bitcoin can fall down into the $90,000 realm and I can get cheaper Bitcoin. That's a world I like to believe in. Are you willing to buy Bitcoin if it were to fall to those levels is what I ask of you, my world's crypto men, crypto women across the planet. Would you be able to buy Bitcoin if it would fall back by that degree? It is not out of the question. Now, generally what I feel like is actually happening here, I'll give you just some quick mail astrology. I think we're vibe checking previous highs. We're finding support. It looks ugly. Yes, I get it. Here's the deal, though. Business cycle is an extreme low. Midterm elections are coming up next year, and the Federal Reserve governors are calling for even more rate cuts, right? But generally, the most of the pain is felt in altcoins right now. Let's go check it out. Aster down 22% at 94 cents. ASI, I'm not touching this thing. Down by 13% at 21 cents. Aptos at $2.86. Holy God. SPX 6900 is the meme coin super cycle in the room with us. It's down by 32% on the week. OP shout out from the past. Used to be playing around in the $2 realm. Now it is at 35 cents. There is a lot of pain on these altcoins right now. This is undeniable. And this is why I pared down and been very, very conservative about how many different altcoins I'm holding, because we have the KOL from hell, Trump, hissing on our charts every Monday morning when Trump notices our weekend pump. And there it was, folks. There it was. I have noticed that we have been pretty uppity on Sunday nights and Sunday evenings with Bitcoin price action. We come in, market flushes on the open of Wall Street, and then we get our footing more so in the middle of the week. So I left the trades alone today. And if you're interested in getting into our trading group, I'm going to be activating my trading process once again tomorrow. You can click the link in the description. It's free to join. Just use an LBank user ID to get in there, or a Blowfin user ID, and it's absolutely free. Now, this is fun across the world. We got France voting to tax large crypto holdings, calling them unproductive wealth. Oh, they're just getting rich off it. What do they think that the Wall Street sector is? It's absolutely insane. France has lost. Macron is a crony. And they're probably going to be at the edge of a civil unrest moment that will bleed into the country from what's being done over in the United Kingdom. And I salute and cheer on my friends across the pond in their fight for freedom once again. Let's see here. Drew, I remember you swapped near to Aptos. Did you cheat the Aptos? Absolutely. Absolutely. I got into Aptos, started losing a lot of happy feelings about many of these layer ones. A few months ago, I got out of Aptos like $5 or $6. It just, the chart for them didn't look good. I consolidated down to Chainlink, Morpho, and Aerodrome heavily. And I'm feeling absolutely delicious about that choice. So I hope you guys have been following me. I know I come from the blockchain basement. This is where the savages go for the alpha. Now, let's talk about Bitcoin and the overall flow, because I know there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of doubt, right? So let's look at this. So from Smith and With eyes, the fiat waves will come and they will go. Bitcoin's tide is growing deeper, more persistent, and more powerful. Are you being tossed by the waves, or are you rising with the tide, right? And if you look at this, obviously it's on a logarithmic, long-term scale. But you can see the steadying of Bitcoin's price action, even since the bear market here at the FTX collapse. It's seeming to steady out quite a bit. And now it's turning into just a general tide up into the right. And if anyone's asking, yes, I absolutely have been hammering into Bitcoin as well, right? Crypto Tony, shout out to you. I was mining Caspa before you even knew about it. Here you go, buddy. He's always complaining.
You are banned!
Love ya, right? Love ya. Now, let's hop into the great monetary transition of a lifetime. So this is from Shinaka, the great monetary singularity, talking about Bitcoin's float annihilation event being here. The charts don't lie. We were witnessing something that has only been seen in history books, a monetary migration of a lifetime. Mainstream media obsesses over the daily ETF flows and lately outflows, but they've been missing the civilization level story unfolding in plain sight. These are the numbers that change everything. I'm going to leave you up there for a little bit, Tony. Where are you in the chat? Hold on. Wait a minute. I got to find you. Where is he at? Oh, you guys already deleted him? Jesus. Son of a gun. All right. So Bitcoin exchange reserves crashed from 3.5 million to 1.8 million Bitcoin, down 48% since 2017. Quite a big outflow. ETF cumulative absorption, $61 billion, despite October's $1.5 billion in Bitcoin ETF outflows. Float annihilation velocity, down 15,000 Bitcoin per month, disappearing forever. Time to liquidity singularity, estimates put it at 2027 to 2029. What we see is weekend selling and exchanges running out of Bitcoin, and the largest institutions on the planet all fighting each other for the biggest bag. Now we ask ourselves, as people pining on the side, looking at the Finks of the world, the Lutnicks of the world, realizing that governments are now interested in Bitcoin, obviously with Trump's mention that the US has an intention to outpace every country when it comes to crypto adoption, integration, and Bitcoin holdings. The pullback on Bitcoin is something I am hopeful for, but I doubt. I doubt that the market is over right now. It seems too good to be true. And if we think that our 4-year cycle process that we've been rinsing and repeating for cycle over cycle so far in crypto is going to be able to be easily repeated now that BlackRock and government entities are in place, I do believe that we are kidding ourselves in that theory, folks. So take that with a grain of salt. If it's too scary, you can't handle the heat in the kitchen, get out of the kitchen, right? I am at a point where I've learned to only lean into the danger, and it has changed my family's life forever and given me the ability to trade and actively turn myself into my own mint. But now we need to talk about something serious, and it is this, okay? This is the thought at hand for Drew today. Oh, Starbucks has become one of the biggest and largest unregulated banks on planet Earth. By keeping you sick and poor, I have uncovered a massive scandal, a robbery. And this is how corporations are keeping you down in the gutters. They are filling the cup up with ice. They are not giving you the actual amount of fluid that you wish. But guess what's in that fluid? It's refined sugar. It's stuff that literally will cause diabetes. People are absolutely addicted to these things. And through this process, Starbucks, many people are unaware, Starbucks has become one of the biggest banks on the planet, addicting unsuspecting customers with one of the most powerful substances on earth, processed and refined sugar. Now, just a little bit more information about this. Sounds crazy, right? How could Starbucks be one of the biggest banks? Let's check it out. To the ordinary eye, Starbucks may appear as a normal coffee shop. Wrong! A deeper look into the company's inner workings reveals that it operates as one of the largest and unregulated banks on the planet, thanks to its cleverly structured rewards programs. You have the app. You have the rewards within the app. They have spending of those rewards directly from customer to the corporation. And it has created basically a feedback loop of addicted customers that cannot go on, can't even, without their sugary little drink every morning. They wait in line for 30 minutes, wasting their time to get things that'll simply cut their lives shorter. Rise above the garbage, folks. Rise above the garbage. That's what I say. Damn it, we are people. We are but men. Rock! Now, I know it's been tough, okay? A lot of altcoins haven't had fun, right? There are ways that we can find to relieve that stress. As I mentioned, I have been starting to go to the chiropractor, and it's really been working out well. And I just want to take a quick glance at how it's been going for me. Let's check it out.
All right, shoulders relaxed, arms across the chest. Big breath in for me, and let it all go.
Oh, wow.
There it is. Good. One more, a little lower.
Okay.
Stay loose.
Oh.
Okay, a little bit too much. But seriously, though, I'm going back to the chiropractor. Okay, if you have problems with your neck, we get a little bit off kilter. The feeling of stress translates to a physical form. And if you got some problems, even if you're busy, I get it. I'm busy too. Taking care of yourself matters. You matter. Your physical health matters. And you make better decisions when you're in good physical health. So just keep that in mind. And now I got to talk about the freaks on the timeline that are calling this the absolute end. The people, and I understand why their thesis is there, right? They want to copy and paste the 4-year cycle. And I get it. You want it to be easy. But there's a great message from Mert. Be careful of the cynical, jaded, and perpetually salty person on crypto Twitter. He hates himself, his own failures, and his inability to make anything happen for years. Takes zero responsibility, cries endlessly, and paints himself as a victim, the male equivalent as a Karen. Now, I do know that many of the names that I see floating across my timeline that are the loudest when it comes to the end is nigh, the end is here, have simply chosen the wrong damn projects, held insider dump schemes, and basically lost in a person-to-person, person-versus-person game on Pump Fund. There is maximum pain on the Solana degen environment, the people within it, because the insiders have been pulling their liquidity for the last year and a half, 2 years. I understand why they're mad. I understand why they want it to be over. I understand why they want lower prices sometimes you don't get what you want, right? Sometimes. And it's the person that's able to look at this market with gusto and the ability to move forward, that's going to end up winning in the long term. It really is. Now, this is a highlight to Scott Adams, someone else that he's going through a terminal illness. He is at the end of his life, and he knows it. Pulte, U.S. Director of Federal Housing, reached out to him, spoke to great Scott Adams. He's the guy behind Dilbert. Even in this dark hour, he sounds as positive as ever. While being in immense pain, he truly practices what he preaches, the power of positive thinking. A truly great man. Pray for Scott. And I absolutely adore Scott Adams. I think that his shift in what he has been able to do in culture with not only the Dilbert comic, but also his macroeconomic conversations that he has, Coffee with Scott Adams, one of my favorite shows. And what he has done is very, very important. Move mountains. And you watching this can absolutely do it yourself. Now, I've conversated about this. Oftentimes, history remembers the brave, the people that challenge infrastructure, the people that take a little bit of risk. And this could even be a scientist that wants to develop a new way of doing things, taking the risk and challenging how it's been done. A presidential election candidate that wants to take the risk and put their money and their reputation on the line to go after the presidency of the United States. You have to take risks to find that great upside. Now, here's a risk that I would not recommend taking: leaving your money on MEXC. Discover Crypto highlighting it as well. Now, MEXC, it looks like they're offering 600 APY, but we got a little bit of a further information, which I love these additional context. It's for 300 USDT, capped at $300 USDT, but any exchange that's offering 600 APY regardless, and also freezing $40 million in withdrawals within the time span of 20 days. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And I would recommend exercising your power that you do currently have of keeping your crypto on a cold storage device. I already covered where to get it in the beginning of the show. Arculus is one of the best out there, easiest to use. I use it myself. And I do implore us to take those measures. MEXC is looking a little bit shaky. There is no denying it looks a little bit sketchy, but it has created some excellent memes, right? This is Smolting Wasi Inverse Bra highlighting this. James Nguyen personally has not had any issues with MEXC. Dozens of times he's moved 7 figures in and out, never restricted or frozen. The FUD and hate I see towards Cecilia isn't acceptable. And from what I can see, it's just people jumping on the bandwagon of engagement farming. Oh, like you don't engagement farm, right? That's the pot calling the kettle black. Now, don't follow the crowd. Use your own judgment and experiences. Win, right? That's because you usually get liquidated. Oh my God, man down. He is done for. And you know what? Of course, an exchange is going to love you if you're going in with $20 million trades, extremely high leverage, and getting liquidated time and time again, just burning through $400 million in perpetuals within the span of just a few months. Of course, the exchanges are going to be your friend, right? Now, we got to talk about this. It's been a painful time. It's been a painful time in alts. I had to say this. Which drug caused this effect? Well, I say altcoins, right? Altcoins caused this. Altcoins, these are the people. Now, where alts sit right now, we're on the edge of a knife. Bitcoin dominance is going up with conviction right now. The weekly has started off very, very strong. Up by about 1.3% so far on this weekly candle. Does still have room to run a little bit more to the upside, in my opinion. I feel in my heart of hearts, I feel it in my foot that this thing is going to roll down. Now, where it goes, I don't expect it to breach down into the 40% mark on this old school trend line. The narrative, the holding of Bitcoin is stronger than ever. I do actually expect it to find support and pull back down to this near 50% mark, and thus causing a generally good bull market for altcoins. But in my opinion, it is going to be a very select altcoin season. This is why the focus has been revenue generating altcoins, things that actually make money, right? Things that have business plans. And sometimes the crypto market doesn't seem serious. This is a post from Wiz. He liquidated 99% of crypto Twitter a week ago and made billion. He bought back $2 million. Now, we need a crypto cartel series on Netflix. Now, this is a card with some serious damage. This is a card with some serious damage. And yes, CZ came out. He bought some Aster. Didn't seem to save Aster's ass, though. It did not. Let's go actually check it out. So he bought right before this little impulse there, right? And we rose from 92 cents to about $1.20. So a very fast and strong upswing, right? Within, this is the 1 hour candle. Aster rose from low to high by about 32%, but has since rescinded back down to that exact point. Aster, decentralized perps, I think, are going to be a thing that continue to grow. Binance, unless dethroned, is going to continue to have much of the sway. CZ, a lot of the mind share of crypto, but some scary similarities are coming from this highlight. Remember SBF in 2022, right before the FTX collapse here, that time of week, buying more FTT, and you overlay this with what we just saw on Binance, makes you kind of wonder. And there is regulatory framework, market structure bills that are expected to be either passed or failed here in the United States at the end of November. So, with that, and the government and the Trump administration wanting to lean further into crypto and to find ways for the government to earn yield, and the Treasury especially interested in stable coins, there are likely going to be some hammers coming down to ensure that the ecosystem that the U.S. is playing within is sound and resilient. Sounds like Janet Yellen right there. But, with all this going down, I'm in America. As you can see from the attire, I'm an American bull. I'm an American maxi. I feel America in my bones. There is a company here in the U.S. that I think is going to reign king when it all is said and done, and that is Coinbase. And it's highlighted by Coinbase Duck, one of my quants that quacks, that it's already a digital asset treasury company. Coinbase kept buying more, and with income generated from their core business, has been stacking a giant bag of Bitcoin. They also custody for the Department of Justice. They custody for BlackRock ETFs. They are coded. And with that coding, I've been snooping around and finding some great upside in the Base ecosystem. And I will highlight Aerodrome owns Base DeFi. This is also from Dami DeFi. Animoca Brands bought a major stake. Whales added 90 million Arrow in the last 5 days. Smart Money Coinbase Wintermute locking VE Arrow, and buybacks at 3 months highs. September 2025 revenue exceeds emissions, and $38 million or more in fees rerouted to the V Arrow stakers and burns, resulting in the yield. Arrow stakers rumored for Coinbase airdrop. Holy shit. TVL up 42% month over month. Arrow is the main DEX on Base. 50% of Base TVL. Fade at your own risk, right? Fade at your own risk. It is tough to hear people that are getting hit with their bags right now, that really they've been fading what Base has been doing and trying to find hope and upside in the old school memes, things of that nature. It's just really kind of aggravating that we haven't gotten it through our thick heads that VC insider dumps are real. The formula has been there forever, and people just keep falling for it. Now, I know I'm not on Basement Live. I'm only doing Basement Live when I've ready for it. Like, I'm going to do a Basement Live Tuesday, probably Wednesday as well. And then that interview that I'm doing, I can't even put on the Basement YouTube channel. It is way too spicy. Again, it's gonna shake some feathers. You want to follow me at Drew's Crypto to catch that one. That's the only place that I'm putting this next interview out. It's the only place it can continue to exist. And shout out, we got 3,320 people watching across the platforms today. Make sure to take some time to like this video and share it out. Help me spread the word. I feel like so many people have been distracted by all the new things in crypto. They keep falling for new coin after new coin after new coin. Please help me spread the message, okay? I'm just trying to help people. It's my job to be a public researcher of crypto and to publicize my portfolio moves to the masses. I do ask for your help in spreading the message. Now, this is a crazy statistic. Hold on. A little bit too much caffeine today. The number of altcoins that are down 60% or more over the past year is greater than the number of alts that have had any gain at all, okay? Many of this altcoin spectrum, we'll call it altcoin spectrum, are down bad. Now, do you cut the ties and just cut your losses, or do you lean into it, right? I've had instances where leaning into the losses had worked for me on, say, ICP. It was total vaporware. I bought it way too high, sold it for a loss last bull market, and then I moved in with violence and conviction, bought a big bag for $3 and cheated it at 16 something. ICP actually was one of the only ones I was moving earlier this morning. There are some tokens that are moving a little bit here. Let's actually check this out. Plasma is trying to come back, but it's still down 20% on the week. Veteran Crypto, our brother channel that runs DeFi, crypto, and airdrops, is highlighting he sees some opportunity because the TVL is extremely high on Plasma, yet the price has been continually falling to the floor. These privacy tokens, though, a little bit of shift in liquidity. Zcash up 4% on the day, but the real winner here, Dash, up 28%. A little bit of ebb and flow of privacy-focused coins there. Potential Tau, the king of AI tokens in crypto, not taking a beating today. Very, very resilient. If your project is not taking a beating in the light of everything going on today, you better pat yourself on the back. And Tau, we covered and first got interested into it at about $40. And this chart makes me cry often because $40 is a long ways away now. But Potential Tau has absolutely eaten up that dip. It ate that punch like Mike Tyson, and now it is back up to the top end of its range. Absolutely insane. Shout out to the Potential Tau holders. Shout out to the basement crew. We've been on this one for a long time. We know what we're doing. Now, there is something that makes me wonder about this government shutdown. And a new fella, I'd never found him before, put out a message and was reshared by Discover Crypto. So we're going to go ahead and take a listen to this. Pretty crazy when you actually think about what this government shutdown is doing. Let's have a listen and just give this guy.
People missed this when the government shutdown started. Right now, what we're seeing happening is basically the government's or the Treasury's Treasury general account. This is their checking account where they pay bills out, has now risen to over $1 trillion. That's unusual. Why is that unusual? Well, think of it this way. When we pay taxes or sales taxes come into the federal government, they go into this TGA account. Well, money then is, checks are written, people are paid, all that, and that money flows out to the system and pays bills. Well, they're not paying bills right now. So that account balance is skyrocketing. It's going higher, over $1 trillion now. It's usually not that high. But what that means is that money is being pulled out of bank accounts and the banking system, creating a tightening or a squeeze on the financial system. This is the underlying plumbing that makes money movement and liquidity move around. So as long as this government shutdown continues, expect banks to be going to the repo window every night and borrowing money. They pledge treasuries or CMOs, collateralized mortgage obligations, in exchange for cash. Well, as this cash liquidity shrinks or the liquidity tightens, expect that it's going to get straining basically the banking system. This is a big deal. This isn't headlines. The stock market isn't going to be driven by headline news. It's driven by liquidity. And this is an example of when liquidity gets interrupted in the overall economy, the US economy or global economy, markets contract. And this is where, going into next week, I'm concerned. As long as this government shutdown continues, as long as 670,000 U.S. Government workers don't get a paycheck, and if it were to continue to December 1st, that's a 21 billion or so dollar plus amount of money that's not going into the system. That means credit cards aren't being paid. That means mortgages aren't getting paid. That means loans aren't getting paid. Car loans are getting paid. And it always starts in subprime, and we're already seeing that effect. So as long as this government shutdown, along with just the tightening of spending, continues, chances are we're going to see this liquidity squeeze get tighter and tighter.
I am erect. Okay. So the more stress the banks feel, the better it is for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is outside of banking infrastructure. I know they want to pander to the crypto industry and figure out how can we integrate it. But capital flight is the strongest thing that we can do. It's the strongest vote that we have here in America. And in my opinion, that process of getting out of the way of a potential collapse of middle size and small banks here in the United States has been one of the more powerful things in taking control of my own life and my finances, that being Bitcoin on cold storage. Now, the reason for this undertone and the pain, it's shown here with a specific company, but many, many companies are like this. A real estate firm, Brookfield, dumping office buildings left and right. Now, what's been happening over the past few years is these buildings have been selling for nickels on the dollar, dimes on the dollar to what they were originally purchased by the banks at, say, 10, 20 years ago. Now, the government, the Federal Reserve, and the FDIC, they haven't wanted to acknowledge these losses for these banks. They've been giving them emergency loans in the form of Bank Term Funding Program, which was released at the banking crisis of 2023. But what is happening right now is many, many of these emergency loans are now coming due, plus a huge chunk of U.S. debt needs to be refinanced, and they cannot refinance at the current levels, which is why you see so much jockeying from the Trump administration to force the Federal Reserve to cut. And we do have some more information on the Federal Reserve cut expectations, but first we got to look at this. Trump put out this message. The United States has a chance to do something it should have done decades ago. Do not be weak. Do not be stupid. Do not be a panicking, a new party based on weak and stupid people. Be strong, be courageous, patient, and greatness will be the result. And there is a lot of things that went wrong over the last few decades with outsourcing American production to other countries, leaving our raw materials and our minerals here alone, letting other countries dig in their backyards while letting the EPA strangle the manufacturing industry here in the United States. Many of these things are being fought back. It's not easy, but it's something that must be done. Okay. What's here? Bo's leaving the chat. You guys scared Bo out? What's going on in the chat here? I want to see this. Dave wants me to buy all-time highs in the stock market. That's genius. Ooh, you made over 18 grand in a week. You know what? No, wait. I actually made more than that in a week, bro. So, trading ranges is actually quite fun for me, right? And I do hold one stock. Which I hate because I got blindsided by this. I got to crash out real quick. Hold on. So, mistakes were made in a wallet I control. This used to be Safety Shot. Safety Shot is a drink that lowers your blood alcohol level. And I actually think it works. So I got some of the stock. I thought it worked pretty well. What they went and did is they built a bonk treasury. You heard that right. A bonk treasury. They made a digital asset treasury of a meme coin. And look what they've done to my boy. Maybe it comes back. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. It's a micro cap. I'm going to hold it and see what happens with it. But God damn it. And all this, we need meme coins to rally to have a proper bull. And no, we fucking don't. We absolutely do not. Meme coins are a large reason why so many Solana trenchers are poor. Meme coins were a mass extraction event. They started as a political movement, ended as absolute catastrophe for the average person trying to get into crypto. We do not need memes to rally to see Bitcoin continue to grow. We do not need memes to rally to see DeFi continue to grow. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, but Jeff, what do you? Oh, this is an insane chart. So the S&P 500 in the black, just up and to the right after that little washout here. Total job openings, though, crashing, right? And this line right here is the launch of ChatGPT. Now, this graph matters because the importance of finding ways to make money, be it in crypto, be it in Wall Street, has never been more important for the average person. I do implore every single one of you, no matter what project, what Wall Street holding you want to lean into, figure it out, because this graph is showing me corporate greed is about to hit levels we could only have imagined in our worst nightmares. The automation of many, many people's jobs is coming. It's already coming to fruition in many different sectors: graphic design, research. I mean, it's not across the board yet, but the advancement velocity of ChatGPT and AI is not even parabolic or exponential yet. It's amazing to see what it's been able to accomplish so far, but never underestimate corporate greed. Never underestimate how much these corporations hate you and me. If we died at any corporate job, our position would be posted on Indeed the next day if it's even necessary, or they would just automate it with AI and move on without you. Now, the elephant in the room: AI stocks outperforming consumer stocks by 20% over the last 60 days. As AI investment exceeds $1 trillion per year, car repossessions are at 2009 levels. There are two U.S. economies, the rich versus the poor. Then the AI is the lifeline of it all. Now, for the first time in history, the Mag 7 stocks are now worth over a combined $20 trillion. This means that these 7 stocks are now alone account for a record 35% of the S&P 500. Consolidation of power much, right? Consolidation of power. Not even the dot-com bubble is in 2000, the year 2000 saw a concentration like this. Tech has absolutely taken over. And you're like, oh, no, there's no way this could happen. Where do you think all of our communication, our sales are happening right now? The entire world is moving to an online marketplace. Yes, there are some countries that still need to get integrated, but for the economic hubs of the planet, America and China, Germany, they're intertwined via digital commerce, digital space. And these graphs just paint that picture clearer than ever. And also, you know what? With this, China, after all of that bullshit we've been saying about climate change and we must hold back and not produce anything here in America, shut down the nuclear power plants, all right? China has basically gone parabolic. This is not a meme coin chart. This is the annual CO2 emissions coming out of China, while all the other countries bent over backwards for these ESG guidelines. China has gone up into the right and has been given the green light to basically outpace the rest of the United States. And this is where Trump must break a couple eggs to make an omelet, and rather he sent a Patriot missile to hit my chicken coop. Now I got my man Kelly Killam up on the stage. What up, baby? How you doing?
You know what? It's feeling like buy season for me, man. We're seeing absolute carnage in the sentiment. We're seeing absolute carnage and expectation. We're seeing the charts just not making those green strides to the upside. Let's get your face up here next to mine. You got the Bitcoin pistols t-shirt, American flag, but you know, the markets, we were talking at lunch. It's like people are still expecting exactly what they want. The market is not going to give you what you want. It's going to give you what you need. And if you need to be wrecked and humbled through liquidation, that's what's going to happen. I still think there's some really fantastic things brewing in the charts.
Absolutely. And I'm excited. I hope you got some charts that you want to look at, man, because it's carnage out there. And it's kind of crazy to see the carnage, Kelly, because this came out, the biggest de-escalation between Trump and China via the trade war had came out, right? President Trump made a huge agreement with China. They're going to suspend all retaliatory tariffs announced since March 4th, right? So everything that's been done, all of the Trump trade war crash out tweets, all of that gone. And China will suspend or remove all retaliatory non-tariff countermeasures taken since that same time frame. It's not getting nearly enough attention. And people are kind of concerned because the good news is being ignored and the bad news is being focused upon.
Well,
and what do you got?
Well, you know, think about what happened. What happened in March into April 7th to be matter of fact, was the tariff war, right? The start of it and the sell-off in the market. Well, wouldn't you know it? Right now, we actually have just entered a level on these charts in terms of negative sentiment. We're right back at that same same deep level that we haven't seen since April. The most negative level since April. April is when we had that pivot and what's going on in the markets right now in terms of that massive bull divergence that formed. That might be something we need to keep our eyes open for right now. I don't think it's the end of the road for the crypto bull cycle. I think everybody's October dreams have been dashed because it turned out not to be the hunt for Green October. It turned out to be just like the movie, The Hunt for Red October, and we got it, breaking everybody's expectation. Dave Weisberger says it's best too, because we've had a few years in the Bitcoin ecosystem and we've seen some seasonality in terms of Septembers are bad or Octobers are bad in these years and so on and so forth. We do not have enough data to really suggest that every October it's a guaranteed it's going to do the same thing on the same 4-year cycle. It's not playing out that way. We're seeing the setup on a fundamental way for the crypto ecosystem that is literally more bullish than you could ever even like plan or expect or imagine right now. So I look at this right now with the market not going absolutely green parabolic. This actually is a better setup for us to move into 2026 and the years beyond that, because we have an appetite coming in for crypto right now like we've never seen. How do we know that, Drew? Drew, how do we know that? We just had 405,000 Bitcoin sold from OGs in October. And yet Bitcoin held above $100,000. So over, not $405,000, 405,000 Bitcoin. This rotation, the great rotation is happening from super OG players getting situated so they can buy their estates and their yachts. And who are they selling them to? The majority of those coins are being picked up by institutions, by ETFs, by MicroStrategy, by Metaplanet, by these big corporate players. So we're seeing a reestablishment of not just going into short-term holder hands, a reestablishment of super long-term holder minded people and institutions that are stacking. I don't think there's a spot to be worried here. I think it's a time to be patient, calculated, and to stack like there's like your future depends on it, because it does.
Absolutely. And I want to get into all your charts, but there's one thing we got to cover for sure. Before we move into those alt charts, Buffett sitting on a cash pile that is now larger than the market cap of all but 30 companies public in the entire world right now, sitting on nearly $400 billion in cash that's lost 15% of its buying power over the last year and a half. And he's also missed out on 20 to 30% gains that he would have experienced on just leaving his positions in the traditional stock market, right? He's preparing for something. Now, he's preparing either for AI and the bubble that it may be to burst and to buy up all the blood and the guts on the floor. He's preparing potentially. You had a great point, Kelly. He is at the later part of his life.
Mid-90s.
Maybe. Right? Go on. Give me your theory on this later part of his life theory, because I found this very fascinating listening to you and your thoughts on it.
Well, Warren Buffett's been around the block 90 plus times, right? And he's in his 90s. There's a succession plan in place right now that's already moving forward with Berkshire Hathaway, basically bringing on a new CEO. I'm sure that there's, in some regards, the impact of his passing, whenever it does happen, will have tremendous impact. Likely, you could project or infer that it will likely impact the various holdings that he's very associated with. So if that's going to be the case, and he's somewhere near whenever that time frame would be based on math, and believe me, everybody in Bitcoin and crypto, we really like to harp on how important math is, right? Well, it stands to reason why maybe he's not passing on AI. Maybe he's not passing on Bitcoin. Maybe he's not de-risking from the markets because there's going to be a global catastrophe. Maybe that's some of it, but I wouldn't imagine that he wouldn't be smart enough to also have the forethought. Hey, maybe we need to have a very, very large dry powder bag for basically, I don't want to say end of life procedures. And I don't mean like funerals and stuff. I'm talking like when he dies, there will be an impact on what happens in those markets. So let's just get out of the way. We could be positioned, lose some of the dollar value nonsense. It's okay. They got $380 billion. Let the markets do what they're going to do and then get repositioned after they have this full succession in place.
Yep. It's a very reasonable theory, right? Like I lean on the side of maybe he's just not quite ready for the economic expansion that AI was going to bring because he's simply old and he comes from another realm. But you have a great point too. Either way, they're sitting on nearly $400 billion in cash. And when that cow comes home to roost, which I do think it will eventually, there's going to be a pullback of strong degrees. We just had one with the trade war.
Well, dude, I mean, here's the deal. I don't want to be a blind bull. I'm very bullish on what's happening in the crypto market. And the fact that the stock market's been going just insane, gold has gone parabolic. There are doomers out there that have been calling for about 7 years that we're going to have some catastrophic market meltdown. Because we haven't had it yet doesn't mean that there's not something looming around the corner.
Right.
We look at that terrible unrealized losses that are being held by insecurities held by banks. We're in an exponential, more distressed position right now than we were leading into the great financial crisis in 2008. So there is a lot of like, hey man, there are signals that you should be de-risking in these markets. But on the flip side of that, the system is so broken that they just keep pouring hot fuel on the fire and putting a turbo booster with a supercharger on it. And it's so, is it ever going to break, or is it just going to get more and more ridiculous? I don't think anybody knows, especially at the advent right now that we have AI coming in at such a incredible rate that is changing the nature of workforces, which sucks for the labor force. On the flip side of that, it drives profit margins in an insane way. So maybe people are going to stop working because they're displaced by AI, but at the same rate, we're going to start seeing massive reductions in costs of goods. I mean, I don't know. We're living in the upside down.
Well, when we experienced that as content creators, like right as the AI systems, became generally available, and I really started to get the feel of graphic design and stuff, like essentially, I feel like I'm doing the job of 30 people with all my different AI systems. It's kind of crazy, but you either adapt and learn how to use AI or you become poor, right? That's kind of what I feel like is happening right now. Unless you're in the electrician's trade, something that a robot won't be able to do within the next 5 to 10 years. Think about that type of stuff. But Kelly, I feel it in my bones that you got some charts for us to check out with what you're looking at. I want to get your perspective right now. I feel like we're ranging. I feel incredible because I have a very strong amount of tether created from trading. And again, if you're not in the trading group, I'm telling you, you're missing out. But what are you seeing on the charts? Because I'm getting ready to fire up the tether printing machine once again starting Tuesday. So what you got?
Well, let's look at it. First up here, I do think some ranging may be in order, but I do think that sometime between now and Christmas, we're going to get not only a big move, I think we're going to get, I do think we're going to resolve to the upside. And in terms of the rangingness, I want you all to notice this line down here. Okay, low, high, low, high. We've broken two new lows. This low here is a measure of the volatility in the charts, the width of these Bollinger Bands. And you see when these get tight, this drops. When these get very wide, this line goes up. We are basically breaking to the lowest we've been this entire, I mean, all the way back from when the whole bull market started, AKA volatility is constricted in such a way that a big move is coming. Now, what do I mean by big move? Well, we've seen this big move. We've seen this big move. Are we going to get it? Is it going to continue to the upside? The landscape says it's going to move up. However, when you look at just the technicals of the market, don't be a blind bull. When you look at the market itself, there's been bearish divergences that have formed from March back here all the way to where we're at now. And we're seeing a shrinking of these bullish impulses to the upside. So there are a tale of two stories here, of one being very bearish setup, but a very bullish landscape that is suggesting further. So I do think if you're not in it to ride through the volatility, you may want to de-risk, because I do think we're going to have some violent moves in both directions. But this is very promising to me about at least getting a resolution on a move out of this range here in the near future. But notice, this is a weekly chart. Look at how long this ranged through here. So, I mean, this honestly could continue to range sideways for another 100 days. And nothing would be out of context. The other thing is this: whales and exchanges haven't begun the classic move. Pump garbage, dump it on you, AKA alt season. No Bitcoin bear market has ever started with a 60% Bitcoin dominance. So we're seeing this even as the price action. Look at this. As this price action in Bitcoin exploded to the upside, we also saw a massive decrease in Bitcoin dominance in this case. And what we're seeing here, we haven't given any signal like we've seen anywhere near the previous cycles. Are we going to get some sort of move down with a large expansion in the altcoin space? I still think we are. I think it's going to be fairly select with very utility driven tokens, but I'm still not seeing the signs and signals that suggest that we have hit a top.
Yeah. And I will give an update for my price oracle real quick. She hit me up. She feels like swapping Bitcoin for Chainlink right here. Putting it out there. Okay. Just putting it out there. Putting it out there. She literally has not missed in 6 years. So continue, Kelly. Continue.
Ooh, well, let's look at it. Chain link right now, 15-minute chart. Got a bull div forming here, and it's not just chain link. We also see that bull div forming on Bitcoin, lower low, lower lows, and we're seeing a higher lows here on the RSI. But chain link, I do remember on the morning show as well, somebody asked how low could it go, and we've been talking about this for 2 years on the BitLab Academy streams, and I've been highlighting it here as well on the Discover Crypto streams. But let's come over here and look at I have the lines off. There we go. We've got this massive symmetrical triangle, and that low that we'd be watching, it would be coming down here with this low range, this blue bar that comes across that perfectly intersects with this rising level of support, as well as this descending level of resistance, all of it pointing to right about here, which would be in the 13 down to about the 1150 range, somewhere in here. I don't know why that's not showing. Come on. Let's click it 7 times so it works. There we go. Somewhere in here would be, I would think of as a likely bottom if we were to drop further. But we're getting in this very constricted, 4-5 year constricted range. I do think this is going to make a pretty big move here in the near future. Whether it fulfills all of this, which would be all the way into 2026, I wouldn't want that. But I do think this is going to work its way up here and start making some very, very large strides to the upside.
Yeah. And I'm very protective of our community. There's a specific reason why I feel so comfortable talking about entry points on Link in particular. It's the fact that the White House has opened itself up to allowing Chainlink in the CCIP to handle the GDP data. So we're seeing government level integrations, also Swift integrations. There's only 2 projects that are allowed to work with Swift as things sit right now in their test environment. That's Chainlink and Linnea. Right. So among many other things, basically Chainlink has gotten a large amount of the crypto industry hooked on it. It's almost like a crack dealer, but the crack is data. And now the neighborhood's addicted and they need to utilize CCIP and Chainlink tokens to continue using that. So I just will highlight that, beyond the charts with great analysis, but there's something very fundamentally, structurally important about Chainlink that makes me okay with it for the long term. And let's hop on to the next one here, Kel.
Well, you're talking Linnea. So Linnea, however you want to say it. I mean, this has been bleeding to the downside, but forming a massive descending broadening wedge. It's kind of an ugly chart here, but descending broadening wedges, these tend to resolve to the upside. The money flow has been, this is on the 8-hour chart, been very negative here. It does look like it's trying to make its headway back up. What does it look like on the 1 hour? Is there more? Yeah, still very weak. Look how weak this is. Money flow is still coming out. But this is looking like it's starting to round out. The money flow is starting to round out. That this is getting into a very oversold zone that likely can bounce somewhere here in the near future. So we're going to be watching that. Anybody that gets into Linnea now will be getting in at a better entry than you and I did last week.
Yeah, and I approached it with just, maybe 1% of the portfolio. I understand it's a small market cap. It's a high risk, extremely high reward project. One of the only ones that has gotten that go ahead from Swift. And we all look for these utility tokens that are going to change the world. It's got a potential to do so. So I found it very interesting and had to take a little bit of a risk play on it, and I'm comfortable in this spot position. Somebody's asking here, what is the Tether printer machine? Well, that Tether printer machine is trading Bitcoin. I'm a day trader of Bitcoin. I only trade Tuesday through Thursday, generally speaking. And me and Kelly run a Discord trading show that basically we nailed it 5 days a week last week as well. Excellent work, Kelly. Okay. I mean, because honestly, I have my ideas about where price action is going. You give some great confluence. I do implore you if you want to get involved, but also beyond trading, DeFi. We have a brother channel who's actually here in the chat, Veteran Crypto. Let me pull up his chat so you guys can get his. This is the channel, DeFi Crypto Airdrops. Constantly, he has his own newsletter, which is incredible. Support them. They got their own newsletter going out, him and Jeff, but also DeFi, right? And DeFi is going to be our superpower when the bear market does take hold of the crypto industry in general. So that is something I'd implore you to do. If you are out there wondering how the hell to actually make money in crypto, if you stay focused and disciplined, it happens, but it doesn't happen by accident. It happens through focus, right? Let's keep running through the charts though, Kelly. What we got now?
I don't know. What do we want to look at? Solana kind of falling through a pretty key level here.
Mhm.
What level is that? That is this multi-year trend line all the way back here to November 2021. And we've been dancing around this. Look, rejection, rejection, support, rejection, rejection. Are we going to kind of regionally find some support here? We're literally dancing right on it. Money flow looks like it's kind of trying to bottom out here, but the RSI is looking really weak. That's on the 3-day though. What does it look like on the 1 hour? Super weak. Money flow. I mean, the RSI is all the way down here, bottomed here below into the 20s, 1920s. Money flow does look like it's still accelerating. It might be, I'd be a little bit hesitant on this until it makes, you get a little bit of a bounce and rejection or a break back through here. What else we got? Crow. Remember, it kept getting good news from
This
partnerships
is
with
an interesting one.
Donald Trump
Yeah.
Media. We
Yeah,
got
yeah.
the nice move up, sell back off, the nice move up, and then the channel here with the big washout on October 10th. But this does look like it's kind of trying its best to form a base, but the weakness here on the RSI, the money flow coming out, it doesn't look like it's ready to give signal yet. I'd be waiting for this to actually bounce here, find some legs, and actually what I'd be wanting is not just a break out of the downtrend, which is this downtrend. I'd want to break out. I wouldn't care if I missed it. Watch what happens at this 18-cent level, potential rejection, then launch through or a slice through support continuation. Tau has been the thing that just keeps pumping, guys. Golly, this just keeps working its way up, seesawing its way up to the upside. Rise, retrace, continuation, retrace right to this previous range high. Is this going to continue to form this bull flag and break out? Well, the money flow is flattening. The RSI is also flattening on the pullback. So it's kind of mixed signals here. I'd be a little bit hesitant right now until the money flow starts ticking up or this actually starts to move back to the upside. But we're seeing just confusion in the waters in the market right now because there's overwhelming bullishness in the landscape, but the technicals just do not support it. That is the case. Crypto Crank, shout out to him. He did a great job on the TA on the Discover Crypto Morning Show. I think he was a little bit more realistic than a lot of people are used to hearing, but there are bearish setups in the technicals with very strong bullish divergences in the fundamentals. So the question is it just a game of liquidity in the markets? Is all that going to resolve with the government shutdown? If that happens in the coming days or week or so, what's going to happen with all these ETFs and the altcoin ETFs as the government shutdown does conclude? The carryover of what's happening with China and the trade deals. A lot of stuff is on the horizon right now. There's been a massive, massive uptick. James Lavish talked about this on the Scott Melker show this morning. The reverse repo market on Friday had like a $29 billion injection of buying in the market.
You are banned.
Continue. I'm sorry. An injection in the markets. I had to do something real quick.
No, but it shows that there was 29 billion injection into the markets. But one of the things is that's on the Fred, but in the Bloomberg terminal, it actually showed an additional $20+ billion. So it was actually $50 billion. I mean, it made every other injection that we've seen in the last several years look like, just they non-existent. So the amount of sort of stealth intervention that's going on behind closed doors, part of it's probably because the government shut down and banks don't have access to capital from these central banks and such. I think we're in for a world of some volatility here in the near future.
Absolutely. And with that volatility, there's upside, there's downside, and there's feelings that will be hurt, right? So just be careful out there. Okay. And yes, I banned my father and I do it again. Okay. Now, this is crazy. Oh, what a cutie. You know what? She's getting calmer. She's getting calmer.
On a red day, you got to get some doggy love, Yeah. Look at this.
So the sun is doing some weird stuff. Now, the sun's been doing solar flares, but they haven't been angled at the earth. Now, this week, they are going to be angled at the earth. I do implore every sovereign man out there to just do a quick grid down checklist. Okay. It's not living in fear, but just back up your gasoline reserves, your propane, your livestock food, your dog food, right? Go over plans with family in case you don't have communication in there. Charge up and test your communication devices. Put them in Faraday bags, right? Charge up and make sure all of your energy systems are good to go. Ammo and hardware check. Stockpile those dry goods and make sure your chainsaws work. Just a quick side note. It's not that I live in fear, but I live in a state of constant preparedness. Those charts don't look too bad, and that puppy looks even better, Kelly.
She's such a sweetheart.
She's a
She
sweet.
grounds me.
Yeah. And that's something important, right? Having something that grounds you so you can take a breath and really center yourself. Your life doesn't depend on an altcoin, you guys. And you know what? You do not downplay your accomplishments, especially in this market. A job is a job, a car is a car, right? But if you are in this place on this earth with a home, with a vehicle, and you have a job, be proud of yourself. Be proud of how far you've made it in this life and what you've achieved, no matter what. Do not diminish what you've done. Do not put bad vibes out, because your vibe is your tribe. Positive thinking can absolutely change your life. And you have built everything that you have brick by brick. So I do implore you to take that into account as we go into the scary week. And look at that dog. I mean, just what an angel.
Doggy
Absolutely.
love.
And also, I will say this. I am putting together a player hater of the week contest, right? Currently leading the contest is DCA and Prey, but I'm looking for the best hater in the comments, and I'm going to make you the player hater of the week, and I'm going to give you a trophy. Okay. Maybe I'll even give you some pulse chain, right?
Reminds me of the old Dave Chappelle skit, the Player Hater of the Year Award.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, just keep them coming. I want to see the fear. I want to see the hate, because it drives me forward to clarify so much confusion that's out there in the world. I love and appreciate every single one of you out there. Kelly, it was absolutely fantastic having you join me. I'm getting the side eye from your pooch. It's true. She loves me. I got a little brisket. I might give her a little bite.
Hey, Dion said, I'm here for the dog only. So the question is, should I make a website called Only Dogs?
Yes. I mean, this is a great revenue model. It's going to be huge. Absolutely fantastic. Maybe the biggest, but stay based, you guys. Okay. You're breathing fresh air. Hodl your Bitcoin. Use Bitcoin IRA, right? Use Arculus cold storage devices. Take control of your future. Lean into the danger. If it was easy, everyone would do it, and there would be no big winners. I love you guys. Stay focused. We'll see you on the other side. Peace.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.